Welcome back, everybody, to the Cleveland Guardians franchise here on MLB The Show 22. Today's episode is a big one, the 2023 Major League Baseball Draft. This is our second draft of the series. The first one last year was a very positive one for us. We were able to grab a number of big-time prospects, including Zane Rowley in the first round, who in my opinion is the best prospect in our organization. If not him, it might be our second round pick, Ramon Ramiro. Currently, according to the game, Ramiro is the 36th best prospect and Rowley is right behind him at 37th. After that, we focused on the pitching staff with Ricky Watkins, Marcos Villalobos, Nick Worth, and Pedro Perez. It's going to be really hard to top last year's draft class, so I don't expect us to do it, but you never know. We'll see. We own the 9th overall pick in the first round of this year's draft, and there are 15 blue chip players here, meaning there are 15 guaranteed A potential players in this draft class. In order to fit my criteria of who I would want as a blue chipper, I want someone who is an MLB ETA earlier than 2027, and they're not a closer. The only two who fit my billing are Mariano Perez, who is 23 years old, and Alvaro Pena. I said at the end of the last episode that it was no secret, Alvaro Pena is by far the best blue chipper here. Normally, I like to hide who I'm targeting, but it was just kind of obvious he's the best one. So, Alvaro Pena is our target at 9. If Pena is off the board, which there's pretty much a 50-50 shot of, do we go with one of the other more raw blue chip players, or do we go for somebody down there who might not have A potential, but may end up being the better prospect? We've got a tough decision to make there. We'll see if Pena does fall. Now at the 2023 MLB Draft being officially on the clock. As I said, we own the 9th overall pick. We own the 9th pick in every round, and we don't get any extra picks, unfortunately. So just like last year, we're only getting our base 6 selections. The Baltimore Orioles had the number 1 pick. The Pirates, Cubs, Rockies, Athletics, Royals, Rangers, and Twins are ahead of us. So here we go. Those are the first 8 players off the board, and Alvaro Pena is not one of them. So Alvaro Pena is still on the board here with the 9th overall pick. I don't think it's much of a question. He's the guy. With the 9th pick in the 2023 MLB Draft, the Cleveland Guardians select Alvaro Pena, a third base prospect from the Dominican Republic. If we had the number 1 pick, he would have been the no-brainer selection. So for him to fall to 9 could not have worked out any better. Alvaro Pena really gives you everything you want at the hot corner. Good contact, good defense, good arm. His power is a work in progress. He's not a great power hitter yet. I don't think he has the potential to ever be a 40 home run per season guy, but he has more power than last year's first round pick, Zane Rowley. Pena can play third and first base. He's a little bit undersized at 5'11", 177, but he's only 18 years old. He has so much room to develop and get better. He ends up as a 71 overall, so this is somebody who I think will be able to contribute at the major league level, likely within a year or two. The fact that he's pretty much MLB ready, and he's 18 years old, what's not to love about that? So a no-brainer selection there at number 9, Alvaro Pena. Welcome to the Guardians. So now in the second round, it gets a little bit tougher, actually a lot harder, because there are a number of good players on the board who I'm going to consider. There were some players I thought about outside of the top 15, which there were 15 blue chip players, keep in mind, and they all ended up going in the top 15. The only other player I somewhat considered, Mariano Perez, was off the board by the 9th pick, making the Alvaro Pena selection even easier. So there were a few guys here I was considering: Anton Feliz, Jeffrey James, Garrett Napick. Those 3 guys I kind of liked, and they were the first 3 non-blue chippers off the board, so I guess we never really had a shot at them. Vinny Leavitt was a player I had my eye on, but for the most part, most of my targets for the second round are still on the board, and this board really played out about as well as it could have. So let's look at the players I'm considering here in round 2, because there are a lot of them. We start in the bullpen. There are 2 relief pitchers I like, Sergio Villasmil and Humberto Guzman. Both of them are 19 years old. Both of them look really, really solid. It might be a little bit early to pick a relief pitcher, but I think the talent is certainly there with the two of them. I really want to add some catching depth. Horace Trevino looks like a really talented lefty bat, somebody who could contribute early on and possibly be the catcher of the future, because I don't think we have our long-term catcher on the roster. William Bond is guaranteed to have high upside, but he's a little bit raw. He has a ton of pop in his bat, though. Great power hitter. He could be a fun player to have there at second or third base. He's a little bit older at 21, which isn't ideal for him having a raw skill set, but we know the upside is there. At shortstop, there's Tommy Madlock, who can play every position on the diamond. Gold glove level defense, good offense. The only question with him is the durability. He has a high injury risk, which is the main reason why he's still on the board. In the outfield, there are a couple of guys I like. DeAndre Wheat and Rich Baez are both really solid contact hitters and players who I think could sit at the top of the major league lineup within a few seasons. I really want to add players who are going to be high average, high on base type of guys, and both of those would fit that bill. Del Roddy is another player who we have highly scouted. He's a jack-of-all-trades lefty who doesn't really have any major strengths, but also doesn't have any major weaknesses. So that's what, like 7 or 8 players I'm considering with this pick. I really had a hard time going back and forth on who I wanted, but I was able to make up my mind on who I think is the best player on the board and the best fit for our organization. So with the 9th pick in the second round of the 2023 MLB Draft, the Cleveland Guardians select shortstop prospect Tommy Madlock from the University of Pittsburgh. So Madlock is the selection, a high-experience college player who's been a phenomenal player these past few seasons for the Pitt Panthers. The medical is obviously a concern, but if he could stay healthy, this is somebody who I think could have been a top 10 talent in this draft class. And if not for the medical, I think there's a fair argument that he could have been regarded as one of the true blue-chip players in this draft class. Madlock has been hitting against ACC pitchers the past few seasons and has done a really solid job in doing so. He has improved every single season of his career at Pitt when he's been on the field, which again is a huge question mark. He can play pretty much every position on the diamond except for catcher and first base. He's got a gold glove level glove, great arm, great speed, great contact, and developing power. As we look at his initial ratings, he's going to come in as a 73 overall with B potential. And again, he looks great. Super fast, great defense, great arm, great contact, 26 durability. That's a little bit scary. So hopefully he can get that up. Again, if not for the durability, I think he would have been a blue chipper. So that's why I'm willing to take the risk here in the second round. But we've certainly got to look out for the medicals with him. So now on to the third round. Let's see some of the players I considered off the board, including the catcher Horace Trevino. The Dodgers picked 2 of the outfielders I wanted with DeAndre Wheat and Del Roddy. William Bond is also off the board to the Colorado Rockies. So that is, I think, 4 players I was considering, meaning there are 3 left who I would be okay with. Both of the relief pitchers, Sergio Villasmil and Humberto Guzman, are both on the board. We had them both highly scouted. They're both 19 years old. And I think the bullpen in our farm system is really the weak link throughout the organization. Left fielder Rich Baez is also on the board. I preferred the other outfielders to him, but I do like him enough to select him here if that's the route we so choose. So with the 9th pick in the third round, the Cleveland Guardians will be selecting Rich Baez, an outfielder out of Brazil. I think both of the relief pitchers are actually better prospects, but my hope is that one of the 2 closers will still be on the board for us in the next round for us to pick them. There's only one position player I like enough to select here, and it's Baez, which is why I'm picking him now and hoping one of the 2 closers falls to us in the 4th round. You don't find many players from Brazil. Our scouting department really had to do some digging here, but I really like this young man. He's a lefty bat. I really like adding lefty bats to the farm system. He's a great contact hitter, somebody who I think could be at the top of the order within a couple of seasons, and I do think he is one of the more MLB-ready prospects in this draft class. He's not great defensively. His glove is very below average. His arm is solid, not great, but not a liability. His power is just like our first 2 players that we selected. Not good, but not bad either. It's a work in progress. He's, again, not going to be somebody who hits a ton of home runs, but I think he could really improve there. He comes in as a 65 overall with B potential, so overall, I'm pretty happy with this pick. This is about as good as I expected him to be. So now we got to hope that at least one of the two closers we want stays on the board here in the 4th round. Sergio Villasmil just went off the board to the Texas Rangers. However, the other player we wanted, Humberto Guzman, is still on the board. So we're not going to waste any time here. With the 9th pick in the 4th round, the Cleveland Guardians select Humberto Guzman, a 19-year-old right-handed relief pitcher from Venezuela. Of the two relief pitchers we were looking at between Guzman and Villasmil, I actually thought Guzman was the slightly better prospect. So this really worked out for us. Guzman throws right-handed. He has 4 pitches, a fastball, a curveball, a circle change, and a slider. Guzman is a very well-rounded pitcher who doesn't really have a ton of weaknesses, which is why I really like him in this spot. Guzman has good hits per 9, walks per 9, and Ks per 9. His home runs per 9 is probably the worst stat he has. Hopefully that can go up. He also has good velocity and break. He throws hard, and he's got some good stuff to his pitches. Guzman comes in as a 63 overall with B potential, so we're 4 for 4 on players with at least B potential. So again, I'm really happy with how we've done so far as we get to the 5th round. Only 2 more selections to go, and at this point in the draft, it's a major crapshoot. All the guys who I somewhat liked are off the board, so we've really got to do some digging here and try to find players we'd be okay with. Of the players we have scouted, none of them really interest me all that much, so I would almost rather go for a shot in the dark on a player we haven't really scouted a whole lot. We could use some catching depth, so that's where we're going to look here in the 5th round. With a 9th pick in round 5, the Cleveland Guardians select Carlo Ayala, a 19-year-old catcher from the Dominican Republic. I'm intrigued by Ayala because of his offensive upside. It's hard to find a catcher who can swing the bat like he does. He obviously is a work in progress, and we really don't know that much about him, so this is a total projection. But if the skills that we saw on that original scouting card are any indication, this could be a steal in the 5th round. Defensively, he's got some work to do. He's not a great defensive catcher, nor do I think he has the upside to do so, but he's a pretty good offensive player for his age. He comes in as a 51 overall with C potential. Probably our worst pick of the series so far, but I don't think this is a horrible selection. In round 5, if we can get somebody who can provide us good organizational depth and maybe have major league upside, I'm in. I think it's a solid selection. Now on to the 6th and final round of the day. There's only one player on the board with 80 projected potential, that being starting pitcher Tyson Stone, who we haven't really scouted at all. So, again, we've really just got to take a flyer with this pick. Here in round 6, pick 9, nice, of the 2023 MLB Draft, the Cleveland Guardians select right-handed starting pitcher Tyson Stone out of the University of Florida. Stone is very interesting because he's actually one of the most decorated college players throughout this draft class. He was named the MVP of the College World Series after throwing a complete game shutout in the clinching game to win the championship. Many scouts don't believe he has major league upside, but I disagree. He doesn't really have a true fastball. His 3 pitches are all off speed, but I think he's a really intriguing finesse pitcher. He's not going to run a pitch 100 miles an hour down your throat, but he's going to win in other ways, and I think teams are really overlooking him as he's a 62 overall with B potential. In the 6th round, that's a grand slam. Somebody who has the upside to be a major league starter. I'm excited to see Tyson Stone prove everybody wrong when it's all said and done. So that's going to wrap up the Major League Draft. I think we did quite well. I didn't think we were going to top last year's draft class, but I might be wrong. This draft class somehow might be even better. So you've seen their ratings. You've seen their letter grades for potential. Let's see their actual potential ratings now. See how they all stack up. And as you'll see here, we hit a home run. Pun intended. So Alvaro Pena, our first round pick, comes in as a 94 potential. I believe the highest potential that anybody has in this draft class is 95 or 96. It's a really weak draft class for the Blue Chippers. So this only firmed my stance that Pena is the best player in this draft class. That's not too bad with the 9th overall pick. Tommy Madlock, the shortstop, comes in with 89 potential. Not quite an A, but really close. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be really good. The question with him is obviously his health, but the upside is certainly there. And in the second round, I think it's worth a flyer on somebody who can pretty much play every position, even if he doesn't develop into a major league starter, which I think he will, but if he doesn't, he could still be a really good super utility player who can do a whole lot of everything. Rich Baez is a 65 overall with 83 potential. I don't think he's ever got great upside, but I think he's going to be a quality major league starter for a while. And we have done a really good job of completely revamping the outfield throughout our organization. We've added so many good outfield prospects since the start of this series. The closer, Humberto Guzman, is a 63 with 89 potential. I don't know if he's going to be our long-term closer because I expect Emmanuel Clase to stick around for a very long time. But Humberto Guzman is somebody who I think is going to be a really good back end of a bullpen reliever and somebody who has elite closer upside. Carlo Ayala was our worst pick, 51 overall with 74 potential, but again, for a catcher, not that bad. His hitting stats are already pretty solid, and I think he could be a major league player down the line, and if nothing else, he'll give us some good catching depth. And then Tyson Stone is a 62 with 82 potential. For the 6th round, that's a home run. We talked about Tyson's story. I'm really excited to see what his professional career ends up looking like. So we absolutely killed it. As good as our draft class was last year, this year's draft class might have honestly beat it. Let's take a look at the other draft classes around the major leagues to see how they ended up stacking up with us. Hint, hint, nobody's draft class was as good. But I do want to look at the players who we did consider selecting and some of the other blue chippers. Ozzie Rosa is a guy I kind of was thinking about. He's a 61 overall with 81 potential. The Twins had a good draft. They had a really good catcher they selected. The Astros had a nice draft with 2 players above 80 potential. The Angels' best pick was their last pick. Mariano Perez is a 72 with 93 potential. He was the other blue chipper who I kind of liked. He ends up being quite good. Moving right along here, Sergio Villasmil, the other reliever we thought about, 59 overall with 83 potential. So Humberto Guzman is better. 4 ratings higher, 6 potential points higher. Jeffrey James is a guy I kind of liked. He ends up with the Miami Marlins. Horace Trevino, the catcher, is a 64 with 80 potential. And they had a really good pick late in the draft, 89 potential. Moving right along here, Charlie Pulido to the Nationals. Pretty good pick in the first round. A few closers to the Cubs and the Reds. Most of the guys we thought about haven't shown up yet, which is kind of a surprise. I guess all of them are on the other teams. Cardinals are the solid pick in the second round. The Diamondbacks drafted a good pitcher. William Bond, the second baseman, is a 61 with 87. Pretty good, but I think Tommy Madlock's better. We made the right pick. The Dodgers drafted a lot of guys I liked. DeAndre Wheat, who was 88 potential. Del Roddy, who was 89 potential. So both of those outfielders do, in fact, look quite good. The Dodgers had one of the best drafts out of any team with 4 players of at least 88 potential. Jack York to the Padres, that looks like a really good pick. Garrett Knappich was a guy I kind of liked. Mauricio Murillo was the #1 pick to the Baltimore Orioles. He's a starting pitcher. There is the Red Sox. They had a really solid draft with 3 players of at least 83 potential. So there you go. That's what everything all looks like. So, again, I think we had probably the best draft class in all of baseball. Us or the Dodgers. The Dodgers had a really good one, too. But I don't know if they beat us. So that's going to wrap up the episode. I hope everyone enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Next episode, we'll go back to the Big League Club and see what's going on there with the current Cleveland Guardians. Hope everybody enjoyed. Peace out.